All right, so let's look in this video, let's look at a technique to take text. We're going to take this word texture, and I want to put it on this pavement layer that's here, right? So I can't just take this and do multiply or even overlay. I mean, it's on there, but it doesn't look like it's really kind of a part of that spray painted on there and so forth. So I'm going to show you this technique on how to make something look kind of spray painted on there. So the first thing is, you can see I have just a black layer that's here, and I have this white that's here, right? So we're going to use this technique in order to make this happen. So from here, I'm going to do Command-Option-Shift-E, which just kind of copies all this and puts it down to one new layer. And then I'm going to turn these off. So you can see I just have this. Now I need to make it a smart object, so Filter, Convert for Smart Filter. And then we're going to go Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. So the whole point with Gaussian Blur is just to get this kind of blurred out the way that it is. And you can kind of decide what you want. You want it to be fairly blurry. You want those feathered edges. That's what we're really looking for. And then go to Filter, Noise, Add Noise. And from here, what we're looking for is Gaussian. And again, you can decide, right, if we zoom in, how much do we really want of that? Do we want a little bit? I think that's probably pretty good. Let's just even it out to 15% and do OK. Now that's looking pretty good, but you can see it's not on our pavement yet. So if I go to Normal and then go to Screen, you can see that's pretty good at dropping out that background and giving us that kind of spray painty kind of texture. But we're not done yet. We need to do a couple more steps to really make it a part of it. So I'm going to show you this feature, and we'll continue to come back to that. It's called Blend If. So if we double click right here on the outside and do, right, just double click, you can see down here where it says this Blend If. Now, I know this can kind of be confusing, but as I move this layer, you can see the darkness is kind of turning into white and kind of drops out a little bit. The same way here, as I move this, you can see the white drops out and is starting to become darker. If I moved it all the way over, it would disappear. So this is the underlying layer. What about the underlying layer shows through? Now you may look at that as I'm doing this and say, well, that doesn't look too great. But if we split these, so the idea of blending these two, so for example, if you hold down Option and you click on the right side, you see how it splits it across. Now look at the amount of texture that's showing through, which is really great. And I'm going to split the left one as well, this white. As we go across, you can see now it's starting to look like it's more a part of this texture. And let's see if this layer needs any more blending. It's pretty good. Let's see this one as well. No, I don't want to touch that one. And so now we're going to do OK. So now it's starting to look like it's now really a part of the ground. And that's because we made the ground kind of come through this texture, come through this image, which is really important. Okay. So one last thing we kind of need to do. So if it was spray painted, there'd be some like more defined areas, some not defined areas. So I should have done this before, but I'm going to use Command J, and I'm just going to get rid of this. Now I should have duplicated that ahead of time, but now I can kind of just get rid of that. So now that I have this here, right, we can put this to normal. I'm now going to see again, if I had done this in the beginning, that is my fault. I apologize. Actually, you know what? We don't want that. Sorry. We're just going to copy this actual text that's here. Because all we want to do is then mask some of this out, right? So I'm just going to do Option, Delete, and then I'm going to go through, what brush do I want? I'm going to go through and kind of reveal that more defined white area for that. Now really, I should go back and re-record that mistake, but that's all right. We'll just kind of work through that. Oh, I want this brush here. So the reason we just want to kind of bring back some of that texture, and you could take this. Let's go through here, and we could kind of use any of these brushes to kind of go through and just take out some of this texture that's here, really kind of simply, so it looks you know, not as clear as maybe kind of time is kind of taken over with it. So let's go here and let's bring back some more of that white. So this is an important process just so we can start to see, oh yeah, okay, so this is kind of worn over time. And so that's how you get this texture or words using typography to do that. Now you can use the same technique on multiple different things. So I used a black texture and used screen, but let's just take this off for a second. Let's take this image that we have here, and in fact, I'm going to add white underneath it. And I'm going to do Command-Option-Shift-E, turn that off. Turn that into a smart object, go Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And then go Filter, Noise, Add Noise. Okay, and now I'm going to hit Multiply. Right, so the same effect happened, except I used a white background and multiply and dark text instead of having white text and a dark background. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a mask on this and kind of take parts of this away. I'm just going to do it in spots real fast. Double click here and go back to this blend if. Right, so I don't want any of that taken off. Yeah, let's do that. Underlying layer. Let's get some of that showing through. Hold down Option and click here. Let's get some of the rocks to show through and do OK. And here you have your text. Now what I like about this is, let's say you say, oh, you know what, that Gaussian blur is too much. Let's take it back a little bit. And so we get a little bit more clear spots that are there, right? So I could take the same thing that's here. Right? In this case, we don't want this. And I should have kept it in the same spot. Let's move that back over top, put a mask on it, and same thing as the other one. We are doing this so we have some clear spots and some not so clear spots, again, as if spray paint has kind of worked over top of that. Let's put our texture back in the background, and there we go. There we have two kind of spray painted elements on top of each other. So that's a way to take text, texture, graphics, and make them look like they're kind of spray painted on whatever surface you have.